Am I the asshole for telling my stepson he can't stay in my house? My stepson, age 24, is getting kicked out of his apartment because he doesn't want to pay rent anymore. His roommate found another tenant, and asked him to leave. He asked if he could move in with me and his mom, and I said no. Some background. He's a 24-year college graduate who works part-time, when he decides to work. I helped pay for his expenses while he attended college, and I feel like with him being 24, it's time to man up, and at least attempt to provide for yourself. Me not allowing him to live in my home means he would have to move from Miami to Illinois to live with his dad. He insists that he doesn't want to move, but he also refuses to get a job. Me and his mother try to explain that you have to work in order to get what you want. We've sent him job postings, and I wrote his resume. I even added a little fluff to the resume to help him get interviews. He would get interviews, in some cases make it to drug testing, but would forget to take his drug test. So needless to say, I'm done trying. So I thought. Fast forward to this week. He calls with his sob story about getting kicked out for non-payment. I tell him he can't stay in my house because he refuses to work. I can't imagine working 10-12-hour day, while a healthy, college-educated man sleeps till 1 p.m. and parties all night on my dime. So, because I care about him, I offered to buy him a plane ticket back to Illinois. He refused because he doesn't want to leave his car. According to him, he's put too much money in the car and he doesn't want to leave his belongings. Okay, I offer to rent him a U-Haul truck, with a trailer as a one-way rental. He refused, saying he doesn't want to drive. According to him, the only option is to live with us. At this point, I'm done, so I flat out say no, and get back to Illinois the best way you can. Am I the asshole? By the way, his mother says she agrees with me, but I can tell she wants to let him stay. NTA, I was thinking it'd go another way, but no, totally not ta. I hope your wife backs you. If she wants to let him stay, she might be open to manipulation by him. If he moved in with you, you will have to get eviction papers and the police to drag him out. You know it. Even his mother knows it. You gave him options and he rejected them all. One last thing, a final offer, a gas card with enough money on it to drive his car to Illinois. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Once he's in, he's there for good. You've offered him all the help he needs to rectify his homeless situation. Does mom perchance give him money that dad wouldn't? Absolutely not the asshole. I paid rent to my parents. I worked the whole time, and I moved out as soon as it was financially feasible to do so. I can't fathom leeching off other people for the entirety of my lifetime. You've offered help in numerous forms. You did everything other than pee in a cup and go to work for him. You've offered different ways for him to move. It's time for him to sink or swim on his own. A harsh reality check is what he needs to become a functional adult at this point. Maybe a couple nights couch surfing with friends and sleeping in his car will sew him good. Not the asshole, but free roam, bored and spending money in Miami? Can I move in just until I can get on my feet? Rolling on the floor, laughing tears of joy, rolling on the floor, laughing tears of joy. Not the asshole. The fact that he always forgets to take the drug test suggests you're dealing with more than a reluctance to work. Me not allowing him to live in my home means he would have to move from Miami to Illinois to live with his dad. He insists that he doesn't want to move, but he also refuses to get a job. That sounds like a whole bunch of his problem. Not the asshole. Get a job, mooch. Not the asshole. If you let him move in rent-free or in general, he'll never leave. He can grow up or be homeless, to be honest. He needs a job and his dad would only let it go so far as well, I'ma assume. He's 24, not disabled in any way. From what you said, laziness isn't a disability. He can get his ass a job and pay his rent. Or any rent. He shouldn't be coddled, he'll never leave then. Do not let that man Atio into your house. Not the asshole might want to keep reinforcing with his mom though. All the feels might change her mind. Not the asshole, once he's in the door you'll never get rid of him, and I can't imagine he's planning to wash his own clothes or clean up after himself either. Not the asshole. I'm sure his mother is torn. On one hand you're right, supporting another adult entirely because they're lazy as shit, but as a mother she wants to baby him a little maybe. But he has options. You've made generous offers which he's turned down in the belief that you'd cave. Don't. You've offered solutions which he's dismissed. This is his bed, let him lay in it a while. NTA, you did all you could to help him with alternatives. He chose the only unavailable option. Also, the whole, missed the drug test, is an obvious cover. Me not allowing him to live in my home means he would have to move from Miami to Illinois to live with his dad. Not at all true. He has lots of options, it's just that one of them isn't mooching off you. Good on you for putting your food down and not enabling him. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, he's 24 not 12. Not the asshole. In fact, you would be the A if you let him live WIHU. That would enable his behavior and cause the same problems to exist for years or possibly his entire life. Not the asshole. He should just either A. Find another house and roommate. Or B. Apply for whatever housing program your area has for low-income people. Not the asshole. Dude, you can't be clinging to your parents this much at 24. Hold on, I'm confused. I understand there are some circumstances where you may not be working a full-time job at that age. How are you a college graduate but still can't write a resume? That's just insulting, not only to you as parents for helping pay for his experience, but also his own integrity. JFC. You mentioned that he forgets the drug tests, which tells me he either fails them or knows he will. It sounds to me he has a drug problem that may be contributing to the laziness. Maybe you could offer him a deal. He can stay with you, but only if he goes to rehab, and he has to get a job once finishing a program 100%. Give him a time limit, of course. If the program is 6 weeks, say he has 2-3 weeks after the program ends to find a full-time job or he's out, no questions asked. I'd go as far as to write up a contract outlining when he has to meet your demands, the expectations of him while he is at home, and anything that would get him kicked out immediately. Get it notarized. For judgment purposes, not the asshole. Not the asshole, he got himself into this mess. It's high time he get himself out of it. Not the asshole. He is 24, definitely old enough to hold down a job and work for what he wants. If he was willing to work and pay you rent, that would be one thing. If you let him move in, he will never leave. You will be taking care of him when he's 40. Offer to drive it for him, lol. Not the asshole, but I think you need to have a heart-to-heart with your wife to make sure you really are on the same page. Between tenants' rights, where he could claim residency at your house after a certain number of days, and eviction processes and possible constraints with COVID, you could be stuck with him indefinitely if you let him in with 30 days to get a job. This would be my HTDO. No, do not let him in. He won't leave and will cause more damage to your marriage than your refusing to let him move in will do now. Not the asshole. He won't starve to death or be homeless. He's bitching now, but he'll figure it out on his own. His survival instincts will kick in. Not the asshole. If you start letting him live off you now, it will never end. He's a grown-ass man and needs to act like one. Not the asshole. Stop all further efforts. He can live in a car for a few months. Not that any mother would wish that on their child, but sometimes one has to be the B-mom. Support your wife, she's going through the emotional ringer, I imagine. At least you know she wants to be firm. Help her be firm. Not by yelling at her when she vacillates, but by being kind and supportive and reminding her that the goal is to get him to understand his obligations in life. People have done much harder things than live in a car and survived. Not the asshole. He didn't forget to take his drug test. He didn't take it because he knew he would fail it. Time this kid got a full dose of reality. You've laid out the options you're willing to finance. If he rejects them, then he's on his own. Coddling him further will do more harm than good in the long run. Hope the back seat of that car he loves so much is comfortable. He may be living in it until he accepts the gravy train has dried up. According to him, the only option is to live with us. That's only because he's saying no to every other option. He's basically taking himself hostage and pleading to you for rescue, hoping you'll just gloss over the fact that he's his own captor. I was 23 when I moved in with my dad and stepmother. They let me have a week to get used to the city layout before requiring me to get any job I could. It was agreed I would pay rent at first, but as soon as I had a job they agreed that I didn't have to pay rent as long as I had a job but had to be out of their house in a year. I saved and moved into a sublet situation around my birthday. It was the best thing they could have done for me. I've made my share of mistakes, but my parents don't have to worry about me. Not the asshole dude needs to get a job and deal with the idea of being an adult with actual responsibilities. He should also get help with any addictions he may have. Not the asshole time for him to grow up and take care of himself. Your offers were more than generous. Not the asshole. You provided the best way for this kid to support himself. Paid for college and gave him a great advice on finding a job. He needs to start adulting. He will either figure out he needs to support himself or he will have some rough times ahead. You have done your best. Not the asshole. This sounds like his own doing. If he were laid off due to COVID and had trouble finding something, that would be another case. It sounds like he is able-bodied and educated. Is there a reason behind the refusal to get a job? Has he always been like this or a recent development? He graduated high school and college, so there was work ethic at one point. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to drive. He doesn't want to fly because he'd have to leave his beloved car. He can live in his car then. He can get a membership at a gym or the Y to shower and change clothes and continue to work part-time and enjoy bringing the ladies back to his castle on wheels. Maybe he'll get lucky and find some poor woman who's desperate and she'll take him in. Happens so often, it's really, really sad. Do not let him in even if his poor mom begs you. You'll never get him out and it may end up with you losing your marriage as they go off to live together. Not the asshole. I think that you did more than enough for him by helping him pay for his expenses while he attended college. Not the asshole. Time to fly or fall. Not the asshole. It sounds like your stepson needs some tough love in order to grow up. Wow. Talk about failure to launch. Kid isn't even pretending he's going to help himself out. Doesn't want to pay rent. Doesn't want to get a job. Guess no long-term goals? What did he go to college for? Are you sure he really graduated? Time to kick baby out of the nest. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. But it is not man up, it is adulting. Not the asshole. If you let him stay now, he'll never leave. Not the asshole. You've offered alternatives and he declined. Not the asshole. This is a problem of his own making. He deliberately chooses not to work and chooses not to pay his rent. Well, not having any money or a roof over your head is what happens when you do that. It is not your responsibility to shield an adult from the natural consequences of his poor choices. He got himself into this mess, now he's going to have to get himself out of it. It's the only chance he'll become a self-sufficient person. Not the asshole. Take your wife at the words that are coming out of her mouth. No is the right answer. Also, he has multiple solutions. Get a job and stay. Go move with dad or join the military and get free housing. Not the asshole. He plans to live his entire life on some else's dime. How cute. Not the asshole. Your stepson needs a good dose of reality and learn that the world does not revolve around his entitled self. If he becomes homeless, then that will be on him, as he greatly needs a wake-up call. The entitlement syndrome in this country is pretty darn bad. NTA. I don't want to work either, but I do because that's how a functioning adult lives. Do not let him move him. Your wife has already failed to teach her kid how to be a productive member of society. Do not compound her fault. Not the asshole. Sounds like he just wants to freeload off you. No excuse for not trying to secure employment from what you've described, except laziness. Stand your ground and refuse him entry. Not the asshole. As someone who has made the mistake of coddling someone with this type of behavior, you are doing the right thing. He will thank you later. Don't give in. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You're giving the guy chance after chance after chance, and he refuses to grasp them. If you'd straight up refuse to help at all, the situation would be different, but it really seems like he's just trying to leech off of you if he isn't even willing to get any kind of job. Hell, if he got kicked out because he didn't want to pay rent, wouldn't that imply he could still get it somehow? You've done all you can do. Of course his mother wants to let him stay, she's his mom. But her agreeing with you is pretty significant, even if it's reluctant. I'm pretty sure you already do, but be sure to show her you appreciate the support. I'm a huge proponent of helping out kids beyond the age of 18 when they need it, but this guy is being a brat. Not the asshole, and this could fit in choosing beggars quite neatly. You would be doing him the greatest disservice if you let him move in. People derive their self-worth from being active and successful. He will never crawl out of this funk if you enable him. Be strong.